In the vast reaches of the galaxy, humanity was often overlooked. Other civilizations, ancient and advanced, regarded humans as a curious, yet minor species. They had seen human settlements on distant planets, but most dismissed them as primitive outposts. The humans seemed fragile, small in number and unpredictable. Many believed they could be easily contained or eliminated if they ever became a problem. Yet, despite this perception, humanity was quietly preparing itself in ways no one could imagine. From the outside, their worlds looked ordinary cities, colonies, ships traveling between planets, but underneath, humans were building something extraordinary. The elders, beings of immense age and wisdom, watched humanity closely. They had lived for millennia, witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, and had learned to read the patterns of species across the stars. To the elders, humans were unique. They possessed an indomitable will, an unyielding spirit, and the ability to adapt to impossible circumstances. It was these qualities that worried the elders. They had seen civilizations far stronger than humans crumble because they underestimated the power of determination and cleverness. The elders tried to warn the galaxy. Humans were not to be taken lightly. They spoke to councils, sent messages across star systems, and shared records of humanity's growth and ingenuity. But most civilizations ignored them. The warnings sounded like exaggeration or fear. Humans are weak. They cannot compete with us. Leaders of mighty empires said. Their technology is basic, their fleets small. What is there to fear? They laughed at the idea that humans could become a real threat. After all, humans still had internal struggles, political disagreements, and limited resources. They seemed busy with small conflicts and everyday survival, nothing resembling the organized power that could challenge an entire galaxy. Yet, while the galaxy doubted, humans were quietly evolving. Scientists, engineers, and visionaries worked together in secret. On remote planets, massive facilities were built under camouflage, hidden from prying eyes. Ships were designed that could travel farther, faster, and with more precision than anyone expected. Weapons and defense systems were crafted not just for combat, but for strategies that could surprise even the most confident enemies. Human colonies became hubs of innovation. People who were once considered ordinary now played roles in a massive, carefully orchestrated plan that stretched across decades. Each breakthrough, each advance, added to a future that the galaxy could not yet see. Even in their daily lives, humans displayed qualities that made them stand out. In moments of danger, they were resourceful and brave. They worked together despite differences, solving problems through creativity and determination. Where other civilizations relied on sheer strength or rigid control, humans relied on flexibility, clever tactics, and an instinct to survive against impossible odds. They learned from mistakes quickly and turned failures into lessons. These qualities, unnoticed by most, were laying the foundation for something far greater. The elders were deeply concerned. They had witnessed humans' growth and knew the consequences if the galaxy continued to ignore them. To the elders, humans were like a spark in a forest, small now perhaps, but capable of igniting a force no one could stop. They tried to persuade the councils of other species to prepare, to treat humans with respect, or at least to observe them more closely. Some listened politely, nodding, but few truly understood. The warnings faded, and the galaxy continued its usual politics and power struggles, believing that humanity was harmless. Meanwhile, humans themselves were fully aware of the galaxy's underestimation. They did not seek attention or approval. Instead, they focused on building the strength and knowledge that would one day ensure their survival. Secret alliances were formed, research stations hidden in uncharted systems, and fleets of ships constructed piece by piece. Each human colony contributed to the larger plan. It was not just about fighting. It was about proving that resilience, intelligence, and unity could achieve what seemed impossible. They knew that galaxy might one day demand they defend themselves. When that day came, humans would not be surprised. They would be ready. Even among humans, many could not yet grasp the full scope of their own preparation. Ordinary workers, engineers, and explorers simply did their jobs, unaware they were part of a larger design. Yet every action, every discovery, and every advance contributed to the quiet rise of a civilization that no one could anticipate. They built not for glory, but for survival, for the chance to continue existing in a galaxy that often overlooked the small and underestimated the determined. And so, as the galaxy went about its business, trading, expanding, waging wars, and forming alliances, humans quietly grew stronger. To the untrained eye, nothing seemed unusual, but to those who observed carefully, the signs were there. Humans adapting faster than any other species, solving problems in creative ways, and showing a stubborn refusal to be contained. The elders, watching from afar, knew the inevitable. Humans would one day rise in a way that no one could ignore. They were planting the seeds of a future that would change the galaxy forever. This was the beginning of a story the galaxy had yet to understand. It was a story of underestimated power, of quiet preparation, and of a species that refused to bow to doubt or fear. The human's rise was not sudden, it was deliberate, patient, and hidden beneath layers of normalcy. And yet, the warning from the elders hung in the void, echoing across star systems. Humanity could not be stopped. Most did not believe it yet, but the day was coming when disbelief would no longer matter. The galaxy had long dismissed humans as insignificant, a small species with limited reach, yet the quiet preparations of humanity were beginning to show themselves, and slowly, the first signs of real conflict emerged. It began with minor disputes at the edges of human-colonized space. A few alien empires, confident in their superiority, tried to claim planets that humans had settled. At first, these attacks seemed routine border skirmishes that would normally be handled quickly by stronger civilizations, but the humans responded in ways no one expected. They did not panic. They did not retreat. Instead, humans adapted instantly. Where other species relied on rigid formations and overwhelming force, humans displayed flexibility, creativity, and unpredictability. Alien forces, expecting easy victories, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Human fleets appeared to anticipate enemy strategies, countering attacks before they fully unfolded. Ships repaired themselves quickly, and humans used the terrain of space in ways others had never imagined. A simple ambush by humans could destroy a squadron twice their size, and victories like these spread stories across the galaxy. Galactic leaders were shocked. They began to pay attention, but only superficially. Some saw the human successes as lucky coincidences, the result of chance rather than skill. They just got lucky. Some generals claimed, if we attack again, we will easily overwhelm them. Yet, each subsequent attack disproved this notion. The humans' abilities were not accidental. Their intelligence, coordination, and resilience were real, and every skirmish revealed it further. Amid these growing conflicts, the Elders' warnings began resurfacing in conversations across star systems. Their earlier messages, once ignored, now gained new attention. They emphasized that humanity's strength was not in sheer numbers or raw power, but in ingenuity and determination. They warned that humans would fight to protect what they built, and they would not give up under any circumstances. Yet, despite these warnings, many civilizations still doubted. Pride, arrogance, and a refusal to admit mistakes kept them from preparing properly. Meanwhile, humans were aware of these mistakes. They had studied alien tactics for decades, understanding not just the technology but the psychology of their opponents. They used this knowledge to their advantage, exploiting weaknesses and adapting quickly to new threats. Every attack against them became a lesson, every skirmish an opportunity to improve. Their colonies were no longer just settlements, they were advanced strategic hubs, capable of supporting fleets, researching new technologies, and defending against multiple enemies at once. It was not only about military strength. Humans also understood the power of perception. To their enemies, they appeared scattered and vulnerable, a species struggling to survive in a hostile galaxy. In reality, every colony, every fleet, and every researcher was part of a larger network. Humans coordinated across vast distances, sharing information faster than anyone expected. A minor skirmish on one planet could lead to counterattacks across multiple systems. As humans struck precisely where their enemies were weakest, their unpredictability became a weapon itself, forcing other civilizations to hesitate before engaging. Tensions escalated as alien empires began to realize that humans could not be easily defeated. Some tried to form alliances, pooling their forces to crush human colonies. But even then, the humans adapted. They studied these coalitions, predicted movements, and turned the attacks against them. Ambushes were set in asteroid fields. Fleets disguised as cargo ships struck with devastating precision, and defensive systems on colonies could withstand overwhelming assaults. Human victories grew bolder, and the galaxy could no longer ignore them. The first major turning point in this rising conflict came when a prominent alien empire tried to invade a key human colony that served as a research and military hub. The aliens expected an easy conquest, believing that a show of force would intimidate the humans. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a complex network of defenses and countermeasures. Humans anticipated their moves with near-perfect accuracy, striking back at multiple points simultaneously. Entire fleets of the invaders were destroyed or forced to retreat, humiliated by a species they had once dismissed. This event sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Reports of the humans' cleverness and adaptability spread quickly, reaching even those who had doubted the Elders' warnings. Leaders began to worry. Could it really be true that humans, so underestimated, had become powerful enough to challenge entire empires? Some called for immediate action, suggesting preemptive strikes to eliminate the humans before they could grow stronger. Others hesitated, realizing that underestimating humanity could be a fatal mistake within human colonies. Life continued as usual on the surface, but beneath the calm, the humans were always preparing for the next challenge. Scientists worked tirelessly to improve defensive systems. Engineers designed new ships, and military strategists ran countless simulations. Humans were learning faster than their enemies could comprehend. Every lesson from battle, every encounter with alien tactics, was absorbed and used to refine future strategies. The more the galaxy tried to push them back, the stronger humans became. As conflict grew, the Elders watched with a mix of relief and concern. Relief, because humans were proving their resilience and resourcefulness, validating centuries of warnings, concern, because the galaxy's continued underestimation meant that larger confrontations were inevitable. Humans were not seeking war, they were protecting their colonies and their people. But the escalating tension made a larger conflict unavoidable. Other civilizations began to take notice, not just of human strength, but of their ability to inspire loyalty and cooperation. Humans worked together across vast distances, sharing knowledge and resources in ways that alien empires had forgotten. Where some species relied on strict hierarchies or authoritarian control, humans empowered individuals, encouraged innovation, and used teamwork to achieve extraordinary results. These qualities made their victories even more remarkable and terrifying to their opponents. By the end of this period, humans had already begun to reshape the political and military landscape of the galaxy. They were no longer a minor species to be dismissed. Alien empires, once confident in their superiority, now faced a species that could adapt, innovate, and fight with relentless determination. The initial skirmishes had become a proving ground, revealing that humanity's underestimated abilities were real, formidable, and growing with every encounter. The galaxy stood at a crossroads. Some factions began to reconsider alliances, questioning whether they could continue ignoring humanity. Others prepared for confrontation, gathering fleets and resources to meet the challenge head-on. And throughout all of this, humans remained focused on the larger goal: survival, preparation, and readiness for whatever the galaxy might throw at them. They were patient, disciplined, and relentless. A species quietly rising while the galaxy debated whether to take them seriously. It was clear to anyone paying attention that the humans were no ordinary species. Their resilience, ingenuity, and adaptability were unmatched. And as the galaxy continued to underestimate them, humans quietly strengthened their networks, expanded their colonies, and refined their strategies. The Elders' warnings, once dismissed, began to echo more urgently. Humanity was becoming a force that could not be stopped. This was the stage on which the next phase of conflict would play out. The galaxy had entered a period of rising tension, where the underestimated humans were proving themselves in small, powerful ways. Each victory, each adaptation, and each clever maneuver added to a growing legacy that no one could ignore for long. The story of humans' rise was no longer hidden, it was unfolding before the galaxy, slowly but unmistakably, signaling that the era of underestimating humanity was coming to an end. The galaxy had begun to notice humanity, but most still believed that humans were clever but ultimately manageable. They saw them as a minor annoyance, a species that could defend its small colonies, but not a true threat. That illusion was about to be shattered. The turning point came when the aliens made a critical miscalculation. They chose to attack one of humanity's most strategic colonies, confident that their superior numbers and firepower would overwhelm the humans. They believed this would finally prove that the Elders' warnings were exaggerated, that humans could be stopped. But they were about to discover just how wrong they were. The colony was not just any settlement. It had been quietly transformed over decades into a fortress capable of supporting a fleet, defending against invasions, and maintaining communications across light years. From the surface it looked like a bustling human city, with people going about their daily lives. But beneath the streets and beneath the orbital platforms, humans had built layers of defenses, secret weapons, and systems designed to turn even the largest attacks into opportunities. The alien fleet approached, expecting a quick victory, and they did so with complete confidence that as the battle began, the humans did not immediately reveal the full extent of their power. Instead, they let the aliens strike first, luring them into traps and making them underestimate the humans once again. Ships that appeared small and ordinary suddenly revealed adaptive shields, hidden weapons, and tactical AI that predicted enemy movements. The alien forces, used to straightforward battles, were confused. Every attack they launched was countered in ways they could not anticipate. Entire squadrons were destroyed without warning, as humans anticipated their strategy and turned it against them. This battle was different from any before. In previous skirmishes, humans had been defending small colonies or striking opportunistically, but here, they demonstrated not only defense but true strategic mastery. They coordinated defenses across multiple planets, using orbital stations, automated drones, and planetary energy shields. They struck at weak points in the alien formations with precision. Alien commanders could not believe what they were seeing. Every attempt to adapt was already anticipated by humans. Their attacks were not random, they were calculated, intelligent, and relentless. Humans also displayed remarkable creativity. When alien ships tried to block communication lines, humans created new channels through uncharted regions of space. When the aliens tried to use overwhelming numbers, humans exploited terrain and gravity wells to turn superior fleets into traps. Each maneuver showed a level of tactical ingenuity that no one expected from a species that had been considered primitive for centuries. The aliens began to realize that this was not luck. This was the result of decades of preparation, intelligence, and the unbreakable human spirit. The turning point became undeniable when the humans unleashed their secret fleet, massive warships that no alien had ever imagined. These ships were not just bigger, they were designed to operate independently, capable of executing complex strategies without constant human control. Some were planet-sized, armed with technology that could destroy enemy formations before they even reached human-controlled space. The alien commanders were stunned. Their calculations, their numerical advantage, their centuries of military experience, all of it was irrelevant in the face of humans' preparation and ingenuity. It wasn't only the technology that amazed the galaxy, it was humanity's mindset. Humans fought with a determination that the aliens could not comprehend. They protected every colony, every life, and every resource as if it were the most precious thing in the universe. Where alien species sometimes surrendered under pressure or retreated to regroup, humans adapted instantly. Failures were not setbacks, they were lessons. Every mistake was analyzed, corrected, and used to improve the next attack or defense. This ability to learn in real time, combined with advanced technology, created a force that could outthink and outlast even the most powerful enemies. News of the battle spread quickly across the galaxy. For the first time, other civilizations could no longer dismiss the Elders' warnings. Humanity had proven that it was capable of reshaping the rules of engagement in the galaxy. Alliances of alien empires, previously confident in their ability to control the humans, began to question their assumptions. Could they truly defeat a species that had mastered both technology and strategy? A species that fought not just with ships but with ingenuity and spirit. Fear and respect began to replace the arrogance that had once characterized their dealings with humanity. Even the Elders, who had observed humans for centuries, were astonished. They had predicted that humanity could become powerful, but the way humans had executed this defense surpassed even their expectations. The humans were no longer merely surviving. They were dominating in ways that made the galaxy rethink everything it thought it knew about them. The Elders realized that the humans had reached a stage where they could challenge entire empires, not just defend themselves, and they knew that this was only the beginning. The aliens who had launched the attack were forced to retreat, but not without significant losses. Entire fleets were destroyed, major commanders were lost, and their morale was shattered. This single battle became a legend across the stars. It was proof that humanity was not just another species, it was a force of nature, capable of turning the tide of galactic power. The humans themselves emerged stronger. They repaired their ships, rebuilt damaged colonies, and integrated every lesson from the battle into their growing strategies. Every success made them more formidable, more prepared for future conflicts. The aftermath of this turning point changed the way the galaxy viewed humans. They were no longer a curiosity, a minor species to be ignored. They were a threat, but also a symbol of what determination, intelligence, and unity could achieve. Alien civilizations began to rethink their plans, their alliances, and their assumptions about the balance of power. Even those who had doubted the Elders began to acknowledge that humans were something extraordinary, a species that could not be predicted, controlled, or stopped by conventional means. This turning point also marked a psychological shift within humanity. The humans had proven not only to the galaxy but to themselves that their methods worked. They had the power to defend what they had built and the intelligence to expand their influence. Confidence grew, but so did discipline. Humans knew that the galaxy would now watch them more closely, that future attacks would be even larger and more coordinated. They prepared accordingly, expanding their fleets, refining strategies, and ensuring that every colony was connected to the larger plan. In many ways, this was the moment when humanity truly became a galactic power. Up until now, they had been underestimated by alien civilizations, by the Elders, and sometimes even by themselves. But after this battle, there could be no doubt. Humans had revealed their potential, their adaptability, and their ability to rise to any challenge. The galaxy had witnessed something it had never seen before, a species that combined technology, strategy, and the unbreakable will to survive in ways that defied expectations. The turning point also sent a warning across the stars. Humanity could not be stopped. Those who once laughed at humans now feared them. Those who had ignored the Elders' warnings now had to reconsider everything. The galaxy had underestimated a species that could think faster, adapt more quickly, and fight more relentlessly than anyone had imagined. This moment set the stage for even greater confrontations, as humans were now recognized as a force that could not be ignored or defeated by conventional means. And so, as humans rebuilt, adapted, and prepared for what was to come, the galaxy watched with a mixture of fear, awe, and curiosity. The turning point had proven one thing definitively: humanity was no longer a minor player. They had shown that intelligence, preparation, and determination could overcome size, strength, and reputation. The galaxy would never underestimate them again. The humans' rise had entered a new phase, one where the balance of power could shift at any moment, and no one, no matter how mighty, could predict the outcome when humans were fully engaged. The galaxy had already begun to take humanity seriously, but the true test of their power was about to come. It was not enough to defend a few colonies or outsmart small fleets. A massive coalition of alien civilizations, threatened and humiliated by humanity's unexpected victories, decided to launch their largest, most coordinated assault in history. They gathered countless warships, advanced weaponry, and entire fleets of specialized combat units. Their goal was clear: crush humanity once and for all, destroy their colonies, and put an end to a species that had embarrassed the galaxy. They believed that sheer numbers, firepower, and coordination would overwhelm humans, and that nothing could save the humans from complete destruction. But the humans were ready. They had anticipated this moment for years, watching the galaxy carefully, analyzing every likely reaction, and preparing for exactly this type of attack. Their colonies were not just defensive outposts, they were heavily fortified, connected through a network of intelligence and logistics that allowed instant coordination across light. Every planet had multiple layers of defense, both visible and hidden. Humans had developed fleets capable of operating independently or in tandem, equipped with weapons that could neutralize entire squadrons, and shields that could absorb attacks that would have destroyed most other civilizations. The battle began at the edge of a star cluster that had strategic importance to multiple civilizations. The coalition of alien forces launched waves of attacks, expecting humanity to break under the pressure. Entire formations of alien warships moved in precise patterns, firing overwhelming volleys of weapons and attempting to blockade human colonies. At first it seemed that the aliens might succeed. The scale of the attack was unlike anything humans had faced before. Explosions lit up the void of space, and fleets clashed in titanic skirmishes. It was a battle that no one had imagined, one that would determine the future of the galaxy. But the humans were not intimidated. They had studied these alien civilizations in detail, understanding their technology, their tactics, and even their psychology. Humans knew that sheer aggression could be countered by intelligence, strategy, and adaptability. They allowed the aliens to advance, carefully controlling the battlefield. Hidden human ships moved through asteroid fields and gas clouds, striking enemy supply lines and flanking isolated fleets. Defensive stations concealed in orbit unleashed devastating energy weapons at the perfect moments. The aliens were caught off guard, realizing that the humans were not reacting randomly. They were orchestrating a battle on a level of complexity the galaxy had never seen. One of the most shocking aspects of the humans' response was the deployment of their massive warships. These were not ordinary vessels, they were planet-sized behemoths, each bristling with advanced weaponry capable of obliterating fleets in seconds. Their shields were nearly impenetrable, and their strategic systems allowed them to coordinate attacks across hundreds of light. That humans had anticipated every potential move the coalition could make. When the aliens attempted to concentrate their firepower on a single colony, the humans had already rerouted their fleets to intercept and counterattack. Entire alien squadrons vanished under precise, devastating strikes. The tide of the battle shifted rapidly, as the attackers who had once believed in their numerical advantage were now being outmaneuvered and decimated. The humans' creativity in battle extended beyond technology. They exploited environmental factors like gravity wells, asteroid fields, and nebulae to create traps and ambushes. Fleets that appeared to be scattered were actually following complex patterns designed to maximize enemy losses. Even the alien commanders who had trained for centuries in war could not keep up. Every attempt to adjust their strategy was anticipated by humans, turning their own formations into liabilities. Alien morale began to falter, and for the first time, the coalition realized that they were facing a species unlike any they had ever encountered. Humans were not just defending, they were rewriting the rules of engagement in real time. The battle became a spectacle of unmatched intensity. Explosions illuminated star systems, massive warships maneuvered like living creatures, and humans executed strategies that seemed impossible. Entire fleets disappeared in a moment, only to reappear in positions that had been carefully calculated to strike the enemy's weakest points. Humans were thinking several moves ahead, constantly adapting to every threat, every miscalculation, and every attempt to corner them. Their unity, intelligence, and determination were unparalleled, turning what the galaxy expected to be humanity's destruction into a demonstration of overwhelming power and ingenuity. On the colonies themselves, human defenders displayed equal courage and skill. Civilians and scientists worked tirelessly to repair damaged infrastructure, maintain energy supplies, and support the fleets. Every person contributed to the defense, and every action mattered. This total participation made the humans almost impossible to defeat. Alien forces, who expected a clear front and predictable behavior, now faced a species that fought with every resource at their disposal, constantly surprising their enemies and turning apparent weakness into strength. As the battle reached its peak, the aliens' coordination began to crumble. Leaders were lost in the chaos, supply lines were destroyed, and fleets became disorganized. Humans had anticipated these possibilities and created contingencies for every scenario. They were not fighting blindly, they had simulated countless outcomes and had prepared for each one. Every alien attack was countered with efficiency, precision, and devastating effectiveness. It became clear that the humans were no longer just defending, they were dominating. By the climax of the battle, the coalition of alien forces was on the defensive. Fleets that had entered the system with confidence were now retreating or being destroyed. Key commanders fell. Ships were obliterated, and the strategic advantage had shifted entirely to humanity. The human forces moved like a single organism, coordinating attacks across vast distances, exploiting every weakness, and ensuring that no enemy could regroup. The galaxy watched in disbelief. What had been expected to be humanity's destruction had become humanity's greatest victory, a display of strength, intelligence, and resolve that few could comprehend. The humans' triumph was not merely about survival, it was about proving something fundamental. They showed that determination, preparation, and ingenuity could overcome even overwhelming odds. The galaxy had once believed that superior numbers and technology guaranteed victory. Humanity had proven otherwise. They had taken the worst possible assault, analyzed every move, and turned it into a demonstration of unbreakable power. Every alien civilization watching understood that they were witnessing a turning point that would be remembered for generations. The climax of the battle also had psychological effects across the galaxy. Leaders who had doubted humanity were forced to re-evaluate their assumptions. Soldiers who had trained for centuries were shocked at the humans' adaptability and courage. The coalition's morale was shattered, and some civilizations began to consider diplomacy over further conflict, realizing that the humans could not be easily defeated by force. For humans, the victory was both practical and symbolic. They had defended their people, preserved their colonies, and demonstrated that no challenge, no matter how large, could break them. In the aftermath, humans repaired, rebuilt, and strengthened their positions, turning lessons from the battle into new strategies and technologies. They did not celebrate recklessly, they remained disciplined, knowing that the galaxy would continue to challenge them. But the victory marked a transformation. Humans had moved from being underestimated and ignored to becoming a dominant force in the galaxy. The climax of the battle had proven once and for all that humanity's combination of intelligence, ingenuity, and determination made them unstoppable in ways that few civilizations could even imagine. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. What had begun as a massive assault intended to crush humanity had ended in humiliation for the coalition and a demonstration of the humans' true power. Entire systems recognized that underestimating humans was a grave mistake, and the Elders' warnings were finally validated. Humanity had not only survived the greatest threat it had faced, but had turned it into a defining moment, a climax that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. From this point on, humanity's reputation shifted. They were no longer the underestimated species on the edge of civilization. They were a force that commanded respect, caution, and careful planning from every civilization that knew of them. The climax had tested their strengths, and humans had not only passed, they had excelled. Their courage, intelligence, and unity became the standard by which other civilizations measured potential, and the galaxy learned, with awe and fear, that humanity could not be stopped when fully engaged. The battle that had shaken the galaxy was finally over, and the humans stood victorious. The coalition that had once thought it could crush humanity was defeated, humiliated, and scattered. Entire fleets had been destroyed, key commanders had fallen, and the balance of power had shifted in ways that no one could ignore. But for humans, the victory was not just about defeating enemies, it was about securing their place in the galaxy, proving their resilience, and ensuring the survival of their people for generations to come. In the immediate aftermath, humans focused on rebuilding. Their colonies, though heavily fortified, had suffered from bombardment, sabotage, and the chaos of battle. Engineers, scientists, and workers mobilized quickly, repairing infrastructure, restoring energy systems, and reinforcing defensive networks. Communities came together, not only to rebuild but to celebrate their survival. The victory was a reminder of what they could accomplish when united, when determination and intelligence guided every action. Civilians who had contributed to the war effort, from technicians to medics, were recognized for their courage and skill. Every individual understood that their contribution mattered, and this unity became a defining characteristic of humanity. Beyond repair and reconstruction, humans turned their attention to diplomacy. The galaxy had witnessed their strength, and now many civilizations approached them with caution and curiosity. Former enemies, humbled by the display of human power, sought negotiation rather than further conflict. Some alien leaders admitted their misjudgment and proposed alliances, trade agreements, and cooperative ventures. Humans, however, were deliberate in their responses. They did not seek conquest or domination, they sought security, respect, and the chance to expand their influence peacefully where possible. Diplomacy became a tool of strength, a way to ensure that the lessons of the battle would guide future interactions. The Elders, who had watched humanity's rise with a mixture of concern and awe, felt a sense of vindication. Their warnings, once ignored, had been proven true. Humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and unbreakable spirit had reshaped the galaxy's perception of what was possible. The Elders began to work more closely with human leaders, offering guidance and sharing knowledge of ancient civilizations and technologies. This collaboration allowed humans to continue growing, learning from civilizations that had survived for millennia, while maintaining the qualities that had made them exceptional: creativity, adaptability, and unity. Humanity's victory also inspired other civilizations in unexpected ways. Some species, long oppressed or underestimated, saw in humans an example of courage and resilience. They began to question their own limitations, to push beyond the boundaries imposed by fear or tradition. Humans became symbols of what a species could achieve when it refused to be constrained by others' expectations. Their story spread across the galaxy, not just as a tale of military power, but as a story of determination, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of survival and excellence. Despite their victories, humans remained cautious. They knew that the galaxy was vast, and threats could emerge from any direction. Plans were made to strengthen intelligence networks, to expand colonies in strategic locations, and to improve technology in preparation for future challenges. Humans continued their secretive research, developing new fleets, defenses, and systems that could respond to threats faster and more effectively than ever before. Every success in the past had taught them a lesson. Overconfidence or complacency could be fatal. They remained vigilant, not arrogant, understanding that true strength lay in preparation, adaptability, and unity. The resolution of the battle also changed the social and political fabric of human civilization. Leaders who had emerged during the conflict gained respect for their foresight, strategy, and courage. Scientists and engineers who had contributed to victories were celebrated not just as experts, but as visionaries who had helped secure humanity's place in the galaxy. The collective effort created a sense of shared purpose, of belonging to a species capable of extraordinary achievements. Communities became stronger, connected not just by geography but by shared experiences and a common understanding of humanity's potential. As humans expanded their influence, they did so thoughtfully. They offered trade, technology, and knowledge to other civilizations, but always with the understanding that they would not be underestimated again. Their power was clear, their capabilities proven, and the galaxy now knew that humanity could defend itself and its allies with unmatched skill and determination. Where once humans were seen as a curiosity or minor nuisance, they were now recognized as a force to be reckoned with, a civilization that combined intelligence, courage, and ingenuity in ways no one could ignore. The Elders continued to play a role, guiding humans in understanding ancient knowledge and technologies, but humans maintained their independence. They learned quickly, adapted faster than anyone expected, and integrated new discoveries into their existing systems with remarkable efficiency. Their ability to learn from both victories and failures became a cornerstone of their ongoing strategy. Every decision, every innovation, was a step toward ensuring that humanity would not just survive, but thrive in a galaxy filled with both allies and potential adversaries. The psychological impact of the victory was profound. Humans themselves recognized their strengths, but more importantly, they understood the value of unity, strategy, and perseverance. The battle had been long and brutal, but it had revealed the true character of their species. Fear of the unknown had been replaced by confidence, arrogance of enemies replaced by respect, and the doubts of the galaxy replaced by caution. Humans had proven that their determination, combined with intelligence and preparation, was a force that could not be stopped. The victory also reshaped the galactic balance of power. Civilizations that had once dismissed humans as weak began to approach them with respect and, in some cases, deference. Alliances formed cautiously, trade networks were rebuilt, and old rivalries were reconsidered in light of humanity's newfound influence. The galaxy had learned a crucial lesson. Underestimating humans was not just dangerous, it was fatal. The humans' rise had rewritten the rules, demonstrating that intellect, creativity, and resilience could surpass raw numbers and traditional power structures. Humanity's story became a legend across star systems, not as a tale of domination, but as a story of courage, foresight, and the triumph of a species that refused to be dismissed. They became an example for other civilizations, showing that preparation, unity, and determination could allow even a previously underestimated species to rise to unprecedented heights. The lessons of the conflict, the strategies, and the resilience became a blueprint for how civilizations might grow and protect themselves in a galaxy where threats and opportunities were endless. In the end, humans had achieved more than survival. They had established their place in the galaxy, reshaped perceptions, and proven that their potential was limitless when combined with intelligence and courage. The Elders' warnings had been vindicated, alien civilizations had been humbled, and humanity had demonstrated that it could not be stopped. The galaxy now viewed humans differently, not as a minor species to be dismissed, but as a civilization capable of shaping the course of events, of defending itself and its allies, and of rising to challenges that once seemed impossible. Humanity's journey did not end with a battle. It marked the beginning of a new era, one in which humans were recognized as leaders, innovators, and protectors of their colonies and interests. The lessons learned, the technologies developed, and the strategies perfected would guide them for generations. The victory had ensured more than survival, it had secured a legacy. Humanity's resilience, intelligence, and determination would continue to inspire awe and respect throughout the galaxy. The resolution was complete. The humans had survived, triumphed, and established a reputation that would endure. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged not just unbroken but stronger and wiser. The galaxy had finally acknowledged the truth that the elders had long warned: humans could not be stopped. And with that recognition, humanity prepared for the future, confident that whatever challenges lay ahead, they were ready to meet them with courage, intelligence, and unyielding determination.